Haribo. He would wake up everyone, rise and rejoice to the name Haribo. Haribo.
So I just want to read you why you have to follow the process and hear a lot. Because it's not like you just come and it just awakens. Usually not. Sometimes it can. A certain person's ready for it, but not usually. So this is what Prabhupada says about it in Nectar of Devotion in the 10th chapter, Techniques of Hearing and Remembering. So, in the Garuda Purana, this is Prabhupada speaking. In the Garuda Purana, the stress on hearing is expressed very nicely. It is said, oh, let me get the microphone. Oh, it's on. Okay, here's the microphone. Okay. It is said there, the conditioned state of life in the material world is just like a man lying unconscious. Having been bitten by a snake, this is because both such unconscious states can be ended by the sound of a mantra. When a man is snake bitten, he does not die immediately, but first becomes unconscious and remains in a comatose condition. Anyone who is in the material world is also sleeping. He is ignorant of his actual self and his actual duty and his relationship with God. So a materialistic life means that one is bitten by a snake of Maya, illusion, and thus without any Krishna consciousness is almost dead. Now the so-called dead man bitten by a snake can be brought back to life by chanting of some mantra. There is some expert chanting of these mantras who can perform this feat. Similarly, one can be brought back into Krishna consciousness from the deadly unconscious state of material life by hearing of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So in the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verse 40, the importance of hearing of the pastimes of the Lord is stated by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, one should stay at a place where the great acharyas, holy teachers, speak about the transcendental activities of the Lord, and one should give oral reception to the nectarian river flowing from the moon-like faces of such personalities. If someone eagerly continues to hear such transcendental sounds, then certainly he will become freed from all material hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation, as well as all illusions of material existence. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu So, this is what I don't exactly agree with all of this stuff, and I'll tell you why. Be free of material hunger. You can't be free of material hunger. You'll die. You die. When you're ready to die, you stop feeling hungry. So, you're gonna have, we all have a material body. We live in two worlds. There's some things in the Vedas you gotta, there's this stuff that you gotta understand. Because if you don't, you get really wacky. And if you think it's all about like losing material hunger and all that, you'll die. You have to have the hunger feeling, that's the fire in the body to live. Otherwise you'll die, And thirst, you gotta drink water, man. So don't be misled by some of these things. So you gotta, lamentation you'll get free of. Lamentation, there's no need to lament materially for anything. Okay? And all illusions, yes, you'll get free of all illusions. And material existence, yes. But you still, while the body is here, you have to eat, and that means you'll have to feel hungry. Because if you don't, you're in big trouble, man. You know? And then even to do with sex, and I think people, you got to renounce it. Hey, man, you may have that urge. You got a body, man. That's just how it is. But it's no stumbling block, hunger or sex impulse, when you have God in your life. You know, some people are destined to be married. They just get married, no big deal. You know, but you can still have God too. That's what I teach, and that's what's unique here, because this is more clear. Otherwise, you follow that path, man, you're in trouble. If you try to, you need to hear from devotees to sort this stuff out. You know. But the thing about, not only you lose the material, it's not that you lose the material hunger, you'll develop a spiritual hunger. That's the main thing. You'll also want to eat, because you have to eat to live in this body, and you'll have to feel hungry, otherwise there's no fire in the body. But you'll develop a spiritual hunger like people do here. They want to hear Harikatha. They're coming every day practically, if they can. And they're just coming twice a day even. That's spiritual greed. That is so good, man. And I'm sure they're still feeling hungry. Yeah. You may lose some hunger urge when you're in Harikatha. I do too. You know, I get so absorbed that I forget about it. But it's definitely got to come back, otherwise you'll die. Okay? See, however, if one, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended this process of hearing as a means of self-realization in the present age of Kali. In this age, it is very difficult to follow thoroughly the rules, the regulative principles and studies of the Vedas, which were formerly recommended. You see, it's very difficult. See? However, if one gives oral reception to the sound vibrated by great devotees and acharyas, the sound vibrations, not just by reading. Here, if you find a living devotee, kiss the ground. You're very lucky, where they're used by Krishna to vibrate transcendental sound, man. Your spiritual life is accelerated thousands of times by that. That alone. However, if one gives oral reception to the sound vibrated by great devotees and acharyas, that alone. Okay? That's what we preach. That alone will give him relief from material contamination. So there are people, they're following the rules and regulations, but they won't hear an empowered speaker like here. They won't hear this. So they're following that very difficult path, very difficult. But if they would do that the best they can, and here also, oh man, this is the path recommended, even if you just did this alone. See, this is the preaching of the real acharyas. This is what people read this, but they don't see it. They just see this other thing, you know, following rules, regulations. But they don't see how important this hearing is from a devotee who's being a medium used by Krishna. My God, you can get free of material contamination. Otherwise, to do it that way is very difficult and takes so much longer, so many more lifetimes. Here you hear from a devotee whose heart is purified by bhakti, and in this lifetime, in sometimes days or even months, you'll get the awakening of this love of God in your heart, as we see here in demonstration. Where are you going to find that happening? People following Prabhupada for 40 years, and they're still materialistic Vaishnavas, most of them. Yeah? We just have all these liars and hypocrites sometimes coming around and saying, oh yeah, they're all, you know, transcendental and all that. when they're not. Or we might have some people here too that are sincere, but they just don't know clearly the difference between happiness in the mode of goodness and spiritual happiness that's eternal in the mode of Shuddha Bhakti, pure goodness, and that's what we're here to teach. Okay? Those who speak that level of teaching, that vibrational level, see, your mind and your consciousness is drawn to that platform. See? That's why you have to hear these kind of topics, confidential topics. So therefore it is the recommendation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one should simply hear from authorities who are actual devotees of the Lord. See, authorities that are actual devotees of the Lord. Most persons are not yet devotees of the Lord. See? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said most devotees are neophytes. You're not a devotee yet on the level of neophyte. Neophyte means no devotion, pure devotion for the Lord has awakened in your heart yet. Okay? You're trying, you're practicing. See, and ultimately you have to recognize somebody to hear from that's actually bona fide. Otherwise, what you usually get are other neophytes you're listening from who don't vibrate the transcendental sound. See, you should simply hear from authority. See, an authority is a devotee. They're the real authorities in this world. See? Who are actual devotees of the Lord. See, devotee and authority. And real devotees speak with authority based on the real understanding of the scriptures, not speculation. If we hear from those who are actually self-realized, see, authority, devotee, self-realized, all synonymous. See? Devotee, self-realized, and authority, all synonymous. Then the nectarian rivers, like those which are flowing on the moon planet, will flow into our ears. See, when you hear, start to taste this nectar. You see, even yesterday is a good example. These two were sitting here, and we were all blissed out of our minds. And if you look at the class externally, it looks like... And these guys are just, the guy gets up and dances and all of that stuff. What is going on? It appears externally that the speaker is angry or something, but internally, the devotees who are attuned to that vibration get up and start dancing. We were blissed out, man, after that, and during and after. Hey, why? It's transcendental. But if you're not purified, you see externally, he hates people, like we had comments. Those insincere persons were commenting like that. You know, that bozo guy turns out to be a real snake, actually. I mean, like, that's what he was. Okay? Proved he was lying to us, cheating, false representation, all that stuff was coming out of that guy. See? Therefore, he couldn't understand anything we're talking about. He thought I was getting angry, well, I was angry, but it's all for the service of the Lord. That's why we were blissed out, man. And he was like, Yeah. So when you hear from a devotee, it brings out what you are. If you're just full of pus and poison and crazy ideas and all that, and illusions, and being a neophyte, that all comes out. Okay? If your heart is good, in the sense it's right, then the goodness comes out also, polarized. Like Meena was talking about Shishupal in that pastime. So whenever the spiritual potency is here, that's its style. Hey, the Florida tourists are here. Yeah. So it's like Meena was talking about. You know, look at that T-shirt. Wow, you got to see. Well, I'll show it later in a minute. That looks great, man. I love it. About time you look good a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, Meena was talking about the Shishupal pastime with Krishna. So Shishupal, when he heard a devotee when he heard Krishna glorified by the Pandavas, the brothers, some of the brothers, Nikula, Sahadev and something. Anyway, they were glorifying Krishna as the being, like that. Because see, Krishna and the devotees deserve glorification because they're Shuddha Bhakti. See? So Shishupal could not tolerate it. Him and his friends, they got really angry and they got up and started blaspheming. Krishna! Like that. See? So that's the style of how the spiritual potency works. So if we're going to see that again, and we do, when Jesus was here, it was the same thing. And then the potency was transferred to his disciples who got the spirit of the Lord. And isn't it funny? That's why Prabhupada honored Jesus, because he saw the spiritual potency is in him. See? We're not here to give honor and what do you call glorification? Yeah, that too. Glorification to the modes of nature, because they're not worthy to be glorified. They're just kind of as it is, See, that's the Dalai Lama's business. We're not here doing his business. Dalai Lama, be a good person, good, and good. I don't believe in God, by the way. You know that? He doesn't believe in God. I read it in his book. No, actually, we don't believe in God. Okay, but the thing is, there is the personality of Godhead. That is the truth. He doesn't know it. He's a good person. See? But I don't glorify that because that ain't going to liberate me. They'll get you to maybe you be a good person like the Dalai Lama. If that's good enough for you, go listen to those teachings, Or go listen to these organized religions where they talk, be a good person. Even in Vaishnava, Gaudiya, Vaishnavism now, they talk about, be good, and we psychologize things and all that. If you're interested in that, fine, go there. You want to be a good Brahmin, and be regulated, you spend your whole life doing that, you can do that. But we're not here for that. See? We're here to glorify the truth, Shuddha Bhakti, because then you'll feel transcendental bliss in ecstasy when you're glorifying the spiritual potency. See? So Sahadev was, I forgot who, Arjuna's brothers, two of them, they're twins or something. They're glorifying Krishna, because there was the manifestation of spiritual potency. Oh, Krishna, he deserves it and all that. And they were getting really ecstatic. And those who were delighted to hear about the glorification of Shuddha Bhakti and the Shuddha Bhakta, or even Krishna, who is, the ultimate Shuddha Bhakta, ultimate devotional personified. Wow, they were blissed out. Oh, this is so great and everything. But then they're the Shishupals. They're not delighted. See? And they come out of the woodwork too. See? So that happens when Krishna's here directly, and it's also when he's preaching through his devotee, the spiritual potency, and teaching about that. See? So you'll see they come out of the woodwork, the Shishupal followers. This guy's blah, blah, blah. It's like, my God. And then you'll see the people delighted. See? But, the difference is, those who are not delighted, they get usually liberation, salvation. Because they're also, they're worshiping Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada and all that. But then the real devotee manifesting that kind of potency, they can't take, man. They can't tolerate it. Angry and all that. So they usually just get liberation at best. Okay? But the devotees, if you take the side of a devotee, and then you get devotional service. Okay? That's why the Christians knew this principle. They said, see, some people have faith in a devotee, or faith in the Lord. Well, when a devotee, when the Lord is here, faith in the Lord, it's manifest in this world, very powerful. When a devotee is here, it's manifest in the world, very powerful. So those who take the side of a devotee, and they confess it. So they said, faith in the devotee, the Christian realization. Faith in the Lord's devotee that's here, faith in Jesus they called it, is good, it makes you righteous. But confessing that is unto salvation. Going around and standing up for Jesus. They knew they've got a higher taste. It raises that potency in the heart. And you start to get blissed by glorifying the Lord's devotee. And in Vaishnavism, it's the same thing. We have a pastime called with Mini Ketam Ramdas. He was the Lord's potency. He was working. What? He was an ecstatic devotee. You see, it's always the ecstatic devotees. Ecstatic Krishna, ecstatic devotees, like father, like son. Was manifest. The real form of the Lord is Satchit Ananda in a vigraha. So in the devotee, if they're manifesting this, you'll see bliss. You'll see it with your eyes. The person blissed out. Ecstatic. Talking uncommonly. Transcendental sound vibration you're listening to. Okay? So he saw Brahman didn't give any respect to the transcendental form of Nityananda, which was pulsating through his body, man. In the form of the ecstatic bliss. That's Nityananda, man. If you see that in a devotee, you don't like it, which most of the world usually doesn't. You know, that's aversion. That's why we're here in this world. We're adverse to the Lord's real form. Mayavadis who attain, this Brahman level, they're also often adverse to the form of God. Because they preach against it. Oh, God is formless. That's pretty offensive, to say God has no body. Isn't it? You got no body, God. That's why the Lord said, hey, what is this teaching that I got no body? What is this? Got a transcendental body. Okay? So Mini Ketam Ramdas chastised this Brahmin who's worshipping the deity on the altar. He said, well, don't you see the deity here, Satchidananda in a vigraha, and he's a devotee, but he's pumping out the real form of God that they can see, like Father, like Son. When you see me, you see the Father idea. That's what Jesus taught. You see bliss? Well, you're seeing the Lord, because the Lord is bliss, right? Bliss is bliss. What's the difference between the devotee bliss and the Lord's bliss? It's bliss, it's God. The only difference is the amount. The devotee is the small bliss form, and the Lord is the huge bliss form. See, that's why it says the devotee and the Lord super soul and the external manifestation is Guru, the empowered Guru. See? You disrespect that, you're disrespecting your own heart, man. You're perverted, you're crazy, illusion. But most are like that. See? So Krishnadas Kaviraj, when he chastised a Brahmin for not respecting the Nityananda pumping through his body, man, in bliss, then Krishnadas Kaviraj stood up and said, hey, you're a hypocrite, man. You're worshiping the Lord on the altar, but there's the Lord right there manifesting that bliss and that ecstasy through Mini Ketam Ramdas, showing himself to you, and you don't respect that. You're like a hypocrite. You're worshiping God in name only. See? Well, that's most devotees, man. They're caught up in that thing. Okay? And if you can recognize a real devotee in this world and you have the power to stand up for them, well, not only do you liberate your brothers, but you liberate yourself first. Because that's how it works. It's always worked like that. Confession of the truth of the Lord being somewhere in this world, and He's here. He's going to be here not as Lord Chaitanya. Well, He is here as Lord Chaitanya is a real devotee. And when a person stands up for that, what do you get? Nityananda came to Krishnadas Kaviraj, said, "Thank you for standing up for my devotee. Go to Vrindavan. That place is given to you now." He wrote our wonderful book we preach from. Even now we're preaching from that book. That jewel. So many jewels in that book. All because he stood up for a devotee. He stood up. Nobody else did there. They all, oh, he's a Brahmin. We can't do that. Or they didn't have the power, but see, Krishnadas, he stood up for the Shuddha Bhakti potency. So whoever does that, you'll see people will get strong enough. Look at Lalita. She's standing up for Shuddha Bhakti. Look at her. She's becoming strong. Loves it. More ecstasy is coming, man. That's what you get for... So the especially greedy ones, and you can't do this, but you can hear about it at least. Hear it glorified. For the especially greedy ones, oh, they stand up for Shuddha Bhakti. That's called preaching. If you got a light, if you can see a light, don't put some dark shade over it like everybody else is doing. So hold it up, man. Light is what truth. If you see the truth, you hang it up, man. And you'll be blissed out. You'll be really preaching. Because the whole thing is to recognize a devotee and appreciate their preaching. Because their preaching is the real word of Shuddha Bhakti that everybody is hiding in this world. They're hiding it. Through speculation, they take Krishna's body and put all these material coverings over it. You can't see it. You don't even know Krishna's bliss anymore. You know, bliss is shown, and everybody says, that's illusion, that's sahaja, that's this. They're covering God in your eyes. Can you stand for that? If whoever comes to the point of standing for the truth, you attain Vrindavan, man, the real Vrindavan. And you'll be blissed out of your gourd here and just loving standing up for the truth. Because that's the only thing going to liberate these people here. Not false acharyas. People haven't realized Krishna. People are following that path and going to hell. Or some kind of hellish thing. Or going to heaven. What's the big deal about that? They still got to come back again. All because they can't recognize a real devotee. Oh, but I believe in Prabhupada. Well, the Lord tests you and sends another guru or a living devotee. Can you recognize your Prabhupada and who was behind Prabhupada when that devotee is preaching in here, in a body? Because if you do, then you go back. Otherwise, you don't know Prabhupada. Prabhupada is bliss and ecstasy. Krishna was behind him. Whoever the Lord sends now that is also being used by the Lord is also the same thing. If you don't see that, how can you go and see Prabhupada? Because you're not seeing him now. You're only speculating like these guys. My Prabhupada and all this, blah, 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 this, all that stuff. Well, you want to be like that? Or you want to take their side? You don't want to do that, man. Seeing the blissful devotees is what attracted me to the movement in the first place. Thought I would never see it again. Yeah. They're blissful. Why? They recognize Prabhupada. See? And if you're strong then that bliss would go when Prabhupada disappeared. But a lot of people were not purified sufficiently. Therefore the Lord sends Shiksha Guru to help out. Get them, break them to that last stage of deep awakening of Krishna heart, like these guys. They're broken through now. They can read the book. They like the book. You like the books called now? Relationship. See, and now if a guru disappears, they feel those books, man. They can relish the bliss. That is the life of a devotee. My job is to get people to that last stage by regular classes in Srimad Bhagavatam and by service to the pure devotee. Help us out here recognize these principles being taught from Prabhupada's books, and you will help yourself into the kingdom, and you'll help your brothers. That's practical preaching on a mega level. That is confidential preaching. Otherwise, just continue distributing Prabhupada's books, okay, until you get what we're talking about here. If you're lucky, you get it in this life. Because here, you listen to this, you'll see more than just regulative devotional service in Prabhupada's books and remain dry. See? So now, when you read Prabhupada's books or any of the Goswami books, you'll feel relationship because you're with a devotee who is experiencing that relationship and preaching about it, not just pretending to be a neophyte. Among all the bozos who think they know everything about bhakti but don't know diddly squat, they actually tell you, oh, just respect my path. Well, I'm here to respect bhakti, not illusion, not gurus in illusion, not disciples in illusion. I'm here to respect bhakti and to teach that so people who believe this preaching go back to Godhead. No, Godhead comes to them like this. Ta-da! Nina says, I thought I'd never see it again. Yeah. Hey, man, that's why Prabhupada said, only Lord Chaitanya can take my place. And he's absolutely right. What do you think Vayamiriyans? If you see, it's called self-effulgent acharya. If that's principles there, then Lord Chaitanya is using that person. Just like he uses all acharyas to blast the illusion away and reveal Shuddha Bhakti and the truth. The truth will set you free. Not following gurus in illusion. No, the truth in the now. It's time for the confidential purport that Prabhupada put in his books to be revealed. Unveiling. Everybody, look at the real form of Krishna. Look at this. Look at the example. Look at the wives of the Brahmins who stopped listening to their husbands who were just rules, regulations, and all of this stuff, and they were adverse to the cowherd boys. Stop looking at that example, because that's what Bhagavatam teaches. That's the confidential purport, and that's what they did. You follow that example, the wives. Otherwise, you're following the example of those Brahmins who are against ecstatic devotees. That's your lot there. That's the truth. You want to continue to follow that path? Well, you get it later when those who follow the cowherd boys, the ecstatic devotees, and they get this bhakti, and then you'll be on the sidelines thinking, whoa, maybe we were doing something not quite right. We were against and adverse. Oh, fie on us. That's what it says. They landed it. They said, fie on us. Well, one way or the other you're going to get it. You either get it this way or the other way. You get it the second time around. But who knows how long you may die without it. It may be 1,000 lifetimes before you get it. I don't know. Who knows? Right now it's here. The proper purport in Prabhupada's books. See? If we hear from those who are actually self-realized, what does that mean? See? Self. What is the self? Is Krishna, man. See? The spiritual sun. What are we? Particles. Without that sun, without meditating on that sun with the bond of loving devotion, we're disconnected, man. We're not self-realized. We don't know that the Lord is the real self common to us all. He's our Father, not some mundane, but even our Father comes as our Father in this world. It's really the Lord. And they're just a servant. Hearing from professional men will not help. If we hear from those who are actually self-realized, then the nectarian rivers which are flowing on the moon planet will flow in our ears. And people think, oh, that's only the devotee speaking so nice. No, sometimes that's really authoritative. That's also nectar. You see that example here. You see when I'm sometimes blasting away, it's like nectar to the ears. But if you're not purified, man, it's like burning a fire. Even, who was... John the Baptist said, I'm throwing water on you guys. It's like Prabhupada, we're throwing water on you. You just follow the rules, all that. We're throwing water on everybody. Oh yeah, we'll give you the banana in the fire. We'll give you the sacred thread. Sacred in name only, because you don't know what that, thread. We'll put that around. You can proudly walk around like a Brahmin and study the Vedas, because we got to give you a little candy, because you won't do it unless you get some honor. Emperor was treating people like this. He even told people, he said, oh, please continue translating. I'll put your name on the book. Because the guy said, I want some honor, man. Otherwise, I ain't going to translate. Oh, okay. Just continue translating. I need some help, please, in doing this. I will put your name on it. That's what we're dealing with. It's called motivated devotional service. Defending, you know what I'm defending the truth about Prabhupada's books and all that stuff. Defending the truth, what's really I love it, man. It's so blissful. This is life. Life is preaching the truth. It sets not only me free, it sets others free. People who listen to that, they get free and they feel it. They get the Lord in their heart awakens. It's awesome. Yeah?